Monday morning, the boardroom. The air in the grand hall was so thick, it felt like it could choke you. The heavy velvet curtains were drawn, trapping the smell of stale coffee and expensive cologne. Around the massive mahogany table sat 12 men in grey suits, the kingdom's top lawyers, board members and investors. They were vultures, circling a dying animal, waiting for the final breath so they could pick the bones clean. Chief Obi sat at the head of the table. He was no longer the lion of the East. He was a ghost. He slumped in his wheelchair, his head lolling to the side, a line of drool escaping his lips. His skin was the color of ash, and his hands trembled violently, dancing to the rhythm of the poison in his blood. Madame Rose stood beside him, a vision of tragic beauty in a designer black dress. She pressed a lace handkerchief to dry eyes, performing the role of the grieving widow before her husband was even dead. "It breaks my heart," Rose sobbed softly, placing a manicured hand on the stack of legal documents. "You all knew him. He was a giant. But as you can see, the hallucinations, the violence, he is gone. I must take control of the assets to save his legacy." The head lawyer nodded solemnly, buying the act completely. "We understand, Madame Rose. It is a tragedy, but business must continue. If you could just guide his hand to sign the power of attorney." Rose leaned down, her lips brushing Obi's ear. To the room, it looked like a kiss. To Obi, it was a hiss. "Sign it, old man," she whispered, her voice like venom. "Sign it and I will let you sleep forever." Obi's shaking hand gripped the heavy gold pen. The tip touched the paper. The scratching sound was the only noise in the room. Bang! The double doors of the hall flew open with a crash that shook the chandelier. Every head turned. Standing there was not a guard, not a doctor, but Sarah. She looked like a warrior rising from the grave. She was covered in grey dust and cobwebs from digging her way out of the wine cellar's ventilation shaft. Her fingernails were bloody, her dress was torn, and she was gasping for air. But her eyes were burning. "Get out!" Rose shrieked, her mask slipping instantly. "She's the crazy maid I told you about. She escaped the basement. Guards!" Two massive security guards lunged forward to grab her. Sarah didn't run to Obi. She knew he was too drugged to hear her. She didn't run to the lawyers. They wouldn't believe a mute girl. Instead, she sprinted toward the grand piano in the corner. "Stop her!" Rose screamed, realizing too late what Sarah was aiming for. "Don't let her touch it!" Sarah dodged the guard's grasping hand and slammed her body against the piano. She grabbed the vintage metronome. She didn't just set the rhythm. She flipped it over and ripped the wooden bass off the bottom with her bloody fingers. Hidden inside the hollow wood was a small blinking red light, a digital voice recorder. Sarah had taped it there weeks ago, knowing it was the only object in the house Rose constantly touched to torment Obi with its ticking. Sarah slammed the recorder onto the mahogany table. She pressed play. The room went deathly silent. Then, Rose's voice, clear, arrogant and cruel, filled the air, recorded just 2 nights ago. "The old fool is almost gone. 2 more weeks of the poison powder in his tea and his heart will just stop. Then the money, the house, the empire, it is all mine." Gasps erupted from the investors. The lawyers dropped their pens as if they were hot coals. Rose froze. The color drained from her face, leaving her looking like a painted corpse. She looked at the recorder, then at the furious faces of the board members. "It's a fake!" Rose screamed, backing away, knocking over a chair. "It's AI! She manipulated it! That isn't me!" But then, a low, rumbling sound stopped her. Chief Obi was laughing. It wasn't a happy laugh. It was a terrifying, deep growl. The lion was waking up. Obi pushed himself up from the wheelchair. He didn't tremble. He didn't shake. The shock of the truth had flooded his system with enough adrenaline to burn through the drugs. He ripped the dark sunglasses off his face, throwing them across the table. He revealed eyes that were blind, yes, but no longer unseeing. "AI cannot mimic the sound of your greed, Rose," Obi said, his voice booming through the hall, shaking the glass windows. He turned his head toward the head of security, his face like stone. "Arrest her." "No, you can't!" Rose lunged for the papers, trying to tear them up, trying to destroy the evidence of her theft. "I am the wife. I own this house. I own you." The police, who had been waiting outside at the lawyer's request, swarmed in. They grabbed Rose by her expensive arms. As the handcuffs clicked around her wrists, the glamour evaporated. She didn't look like a queen anymore. She looked small, pathetic. "I did it for us," she wailed as they dragged her out, kicking and screaming. "You were weak, Obi. I made you strong. I made you..." Her screams faded down the long marble hallway, leaving a heavy, ringing silence.
The lawyers packed their briefcases with trembling hands and fled. The board members muttered apologies and disappeared. The staff vanished into the kitchens. The room was empty, except for the king and the maid. Obi stood by the table, leaning heavily on his cane, his chest heaving. He looked older now, the weight of the betrayal settling into his bones. He felt his way around the table until his hand found the metronome. He wound it up. Tick, tick, tick. Perfect steady rhythm. The limping beat was gone. The chaos was over. "Sarah," he whispered into the quiet room. Sarah stepped forward. She wiped the dust from her face. She tapped the table twice. "I am here." Obi turned toward the sound. He reached out, his hand shaking slightly, not from drugs this time, but from raw emotion. When he found her arm, he slid his hand down to hers. He felt the blood on her fingers, the dirt on her skin, the calluses from years of hard labor. "They told me you were silent," Obi said softly, a single tear slipping from his blind eyes and rolling down his cheek. "They told me you were nothing, but you were the only one who spoke the truth." He squeezed her hand, holding it like it was the most precious thing in the room. "You are not a maid in this house anymore," he promised, his voice thick with gratitude. "From today, you are family." Sarah smiled. For the first time in her life, she didn't need to hide. She didn't need to speak. The silence in the room wasn't heavy anymore. It was golden.